Hello, can anybody hear
Will
me?
Donald Trump drop J.D. Vance?
Can can you hear me?
Main mail. So this is about this. We could assign this to Donald Trump. Main mail.
Hello.
Long path. It was either a long path to get anyone up. Do we have him? Can we hear me? No whale.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Hi, Swampy. Can you hear me? We're having some technical difficulties right now. But Swampy, I'd like to do some Lenormand readings. I was gonna do one on J.D. Vance, saying Donald Trump's last presidential pick. Beautiful, Swampy. So I guess we'd do some Lenormand readings. Let's look at the cards first. Oh. This is like the expectation card, which can be upwards of 6 months in the regular Lenormand. Or maybe 3 months is more conservative estimate. Pleasant letter. You know the letter card in the Lenormand. Unexpected income. This is the one I always see, and I've talked about it lately. How I feel it's like the the 6 of Pentacles.
Can you hear me?
This one right here. Activity.
Hershey, do you hear me?
This is one I in the regular Kipper. Well, we're looking at Kipper. We're not looking at Lenormand. What am I thinking? This card, to me, I don't know what the corresponding one. What would the corresponding one, Miss Moonlight, be to the activity in the
Hello.
Kipper, the standard, the
Can you
the
can you
original
hear
Kipper you
me?
see.
Can you hear
The
me?
gift card. Oh, this is interesting, kind of surreal, kind of cartoonish.
You
My
hear
mom
me?
likes this deck, so I had to have it, and Amanda got it for me.
Okay, well then Jeff is just fucking with me.
Gain. This one's kind of got a surrealist Dali feel to it. Salvador Dali. This one right here in the Kipper. Don't do it for the Gipper, do it for the Kipper. Hello, I can hear you, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Jeff?
Some of these are weird. I have to revert back to myself for a minute. Good outcome in love. So would this be like some of these are weird. This will be fun because it's going to bring a whole new
Are you hearing me, Hershey, really?
I'm back. I don't know where time went. I don't know
I'm
where time went, but I know it was time well spent. Thomas can't get on the air, therefore we can't go any further. He
I'm
doesn't know how much he can bear.
everybody hears
Hershey
me but
mind
you.
in the field, mind in the chat. Miles can hear me. I don't know if I want that. Do I have something muted? It says everyone can see and hear you.
Is your speaker muted? Of course that doesn't help you because you can't read lips. There you go.
I hear you now.
Okay. Well, I only rebooted my computer twice, got rid of applications that were fucking things up earlier in the day. Okay, hi Jeff, how are you?
How are you? I'm good.
Okay, let's see if I can get to my mail. And figure out what stories we're reading on today. I found 3 stories, but my mail is not letting me get to it. Ugh. Okay, when everything else fucks up, then you go back to your phone. Oh, that just died. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm glad you found the corrected link because I messed that up earlier.
It's good. I'm all good. The important thing is you're here. You're healthy. Hershey's here. Miss Moonlight's here. Nancy was here, but I don't know. Swamp is here. He can hear you.
Okay, so our first story is about a South African named Orville Peck. And when he first started performing, he had a mask and like some kind of covering, sort of like Sia, like obscuring his face. And he released an album in 2019 doing country western songs with a whole bunch of artists. Willie Nelson was one of them. And we wanted to know why. Well, I know why a person would want to remain anonymous. As time has gone on, he's performing longer. He's just down to like an eye mask, like Wesley in Princess Bride. So, you said your card was the Hierophant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with the devil. So,
Wow. Okay, so wow.
so I'll let you read upright.
All right. So the response of his being a novelty, of breaking into the industry, breaking conventions, things like that, is what the Hierophant is showing me, even when it's not reversed in this case, because it did have a positive boon for his career. But the downside of it, as we know, is the conclusion, which I don't think we revealed yet, and I don't know if we're going to yet. But I think as time went on, and as he got more exposure through Willie, Um, he was bedeviled by the idea that he hadn't really come to the point where he felt comfortable enough as an artist to be admired for who he was fully. So that bedeviled him. And I think maybe Willie had some influence on him because, Willie's someone for whom, he's been arrested. He was arrested at times before, like Snoop Dogg, for marijuana. And he's been around for so long. He's kind of like a shaman to some people. So, even if the record company people or the people or the people in the internet land before he had a deal had come to enjoy him and his music, there were things that needed to come out in the open that he could get free of, and that devil card represents that upright.
Okay, so when we have the Hierophant upright, South Africa is pretty much a have and have not country. There's a big divide between those that have things and those who have not. So a lot of the middle class is eroded. So it's sort of you're very comfortable or you're poor. And I think maybe with the devil upside down, he's not trying to mislead anyone. He's just trying to keep himself under wraps because he doesn't want people to know that he's rising up from his background or his past. And so I think that's why he's keeping that anonymity with him. And then when we have our Hierophant upside down and devil upright,
at all costs, demolishing the obstacles and getting free became the utmost priority for him because of the oppression within the country, but also there weren't any really paths that had been blazed for him. The only thing he could do was really strip himself bare and show himself bare to everyone. And I think the other part of it is that with the Hierophant reversed, we're not living in a time anyway and the Hierophant was reversed, right?
Yes, and the devil upright.
Okay. The music industry really doesn't cultivate careers based on singer-songwriters or people that could be seen as fly-by-night, or maybe in a country like that with the localized, well, not localized, but national oppression that there is. So making sure at all costs he was able to free himself of the imposition of having to kowtow to a label or to an industry executive and make it on his own or on his own merits, even withstanding the obstacle he faced, was the priority, not what everyone else perceived as the disability. And I'll just leave it at that.
And with both the Hierophant and the devil reversed, it's since there is such structure in the record business, Just producing records is not what the record business wants you to do. They want you to tour 200 dates a year and make all the money that you can on these tours. And then, they see him as a novelty, and they just want to squeeze as much money from the turnip as they can. And really, they're not going to drastically change Orville Peck, because when he goes on tour, then he's going to have to pay for a lot of the logistical things, and the paybacks go to the record companies and not to the artists. And that's why you see a lot of artists, musical artists, declare bankruptcy, or really aren't the best off. So you want to tell them what the end result was?
He's gay. And the end result was, if I can just see here, based on this. He did lift the mask, but the wearing of the mask to perform, he said, was the fact that he was gay. He wanted to dodge questions, and he didn't want to lay anything out there. He just didn't think it was important to actually put a face to a stigma. I mean, because that's in that environment, especially, probably there might be a higher level of persecution and whatnot. So this is someone that really took a lot. It took a lot for him to share his truth, but it took a lot to get to the point where he could get back his own freedom from his own demons, his own devils, to get there. So
Tom's story. In 2013, a gay country western bar opened up here in Houston called Neon Boots, and it was in a historic ballroom. And when Willie Nelson lived in Pasadena, Texas, he would drive from Pasadena, which is probably about 30 miles, to perform at this ballroom. And he was writing songs, and he was selling songs for $10 a song. And he brought the owner of the ballroom the song Crazy. And he said, no, you keep your song. Why don't you just be a house musician with the band, and keep your music, keep your rights, do this. So they have historic pictures of Willie Nelson performing in the ballroom, and he performed there for like 3 years before moving on to somewhere else. And I'm trying to think of what the ballroom's name is. but it has a full ballroom sized dance floor. Not quite as big as a school gymnasium, but big enough. And they had a stage, and you see all these artists that have performed there. Um, and it was a fun job. I was bar backing, carrying beers and liquor to. There were 9 different bars inside and outside of this venue, and then I worked the door on Friday and Saturday nights. But we would close down at 2 when Texas has you close down, clean everything up, and then I would get up the next morning and come in, and I did their liquor inventory. So however many of the 9 bars were open, I had to do liquor inventories for each of the bar. Pull the liquor bottle off and weigh it, and then the software would measure it against the software saying what it sold the previous shift. So I did that for about a year and a half without a car, going from the southeast side by Hobby Airport of Houston to my regular job, which was in Midtown. And then after work, I would go to the northwest side and do the liquor inventories. And then Friday and Saturday nights, I would just stay there after I did my liquor inventories and do the door shift or the bar backing shift. So good times. Know a lot of country music, and Hershey plays a lot of country music. And she's like, "Do you like country music?" And I said, "Well, I bar backed for a year and a half at a country western bar, so I should like country western music." Okay, next story. I think a lot of people have seen this story because it's fairly recent. It was off the coast of, was it Connecticut?
New Hampshire.
It was a whale breach, and the whale hit a 23-foot boat and capsized it. So Jeff's card was the Page of Swords. And my card that I drew was the Ten of Swords. So we go from the Ten of Swords to the Page of Swords.
So these 2 that were in this boat weren't necessarily counting on meeting or having this rendezvous with this animal, based on what I saw in the story. So I think since it sort of capsized, they were caught with knives in their back, because whatever they were out there for, and I can't necessarily remember if the article really explained what they were out for, but from a studying point of view, the way with the Page of Swords upright would be, they kind of got over their heads. A lot of times that card can mean that. It can be someone that is youthful, maybe studying a lot, but isn't really versed in any one thing. What is it? Well, something of many, master of none. What's the expression? I forget. So what I'm saying is, they took from the experience what they could. They'll never forget it. They'll probably be a little more, I'm thinking a little more adventurous in the future, given that I saw the Page of Swords card, but the Page of Swords card too can mean inexperienced, and maybe they were a little bit ahead of themselves in what they were trying to do without going going in alone. But they were rescued, and one of the people that rescued them, I think they were brothers or cousins, I forget.
Yeah, they had the one taking the video was a brother in another boat.
Yeah. So you know, I think the other meaning of the Page of Swords here is that from a distance, they had someone young out there watching their backs and watching what they could, potentially run into. But they didn't necessarily think it was this. And, photography and the phones and, they can be just as useful as binoculars. So, they've got it on, they've got it on tape now. And maybe they'll parlay it into something else. So that's what I see with those two cards.
So apparently they'd seen the whale, and the whale dived, and they hadn't seen it for a couple minutes when it did breach and hit their boat. So that's a cautionary tale to if you're on the water in a little boat and you don't, keep a life preserver on, because you never know. The boat could fully capsize and trap you underneath it, or bang your head or whatever. They got thrown out of the boat. They were rescued. Everyone's okay. But the Page of Swords is like your Jack. I think the saying that you're trying to get was Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
So we go from the 10 upright to the Jack reversed, or the Page reversed. So there was nothing they could do. I mean, nature's going to do what nature's going to do. Now, was there a noise bothering the whale? Were they fishing and maybe chum for fish, and maybe the whale was not a whale that was a krill eating whale, but a fish eating whale? Maybe they attracted a pool of fish. And it's sort of like how the orcas will do a bubble net. They'll go around a pot of fish or a fish ball, and bubble to keep the fish all concentrated, and then they will come up directly from the bottom and open their mouth and scoop in several hundred fish at a time. So I think it's just maybe a behavior that, unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. But they were rescued, and fortunately they survived to tell a pretty much a singular tale.
Okay, so on that note, that's a good stepping stone to what I think's happening in this set, or this rendition of the cards. The 10 of Swords kind of falling out, and then that sort of youthful, bouncy energy with the Page, or as Thomas called it, the Jack. It won't take away from the need for more adventure. They may become adrenaline junkies as a result, is what I'm hearing. They may do something that some people might consider foolish down the line. But they might, even take to, studies, oceanography, aquamarine, aquatic life, who knows? But that adrenaline is what I see the swords as, because I know it's thoughts and I know it's ideas normally, but that adrenaline can be just as impactful as a thought when you're having to make a knee-jerk decision or be in a position to save your life. So that's how I see it with that card, and that's how I see the rendition as it is there.
And with both cards reversed, the damage was done. The whale came out and hit the boat and capsized it and sent them flying. But who would ever thought that a day out on the ocean was gonna put you in this predicament? And then to have it recorded, another major boon in this YouTube TikTok universe that we live in. It used to be 15 minutes of fame. Well, now you got 60 seconds. It's a flash in the pan, and you may not be known for anything else other than a good story. And if it weren't in pictures, people would be saying, that's a fish tail, even though it's a whale of a tail.
Whale of a tail.
So everything's gone wrong. Jeff, what was the gist of story number 3? I know it was another animal story.
Okay, so was this the one about the dragonflies in Rhode Island? For some reason, I'm honing in on that. I don't think it was, but
it was not.
It was. Oh yeah. Okay. Some animals can have babies without a mate. These are yeah.
So it goes on to Jurassic Park. Nature finds a way, and this was it a snake or a lizard?
It was a boa constrictor.
Boa constrictor in Florida. Like, they need some more boa constrictors now. They need females that can reproduce without it. I think what I read in the story is it had not had contact with a male in 9 years, although it had a clutch of eggs or had babies. I don't know if boas do eggs or if they do live birth. I know some snakes do live birth. I think boas are egg layers. But to the way they described it, there is some other cell that can give half the genetic material, and the offspring of these spontaneous pregnancies, they're prone to weak genetic strains. So that's why sexual reproduction was invented, so you could keep the diversity of the gene pool, and the weaker the species tend to go extinct. All us left-handed, gay, non-reproducing males, may go extinct.
Okay, so
So we had the 5 of Wands and we had the 6 of Swords.
So that need that women have with their biological clock to satisfy the inspiration that they have to have children is impeccably represented now with this trouble we're having with Roe v. Wade and everything political by this story, because they don't need a man to do it. And they haven't been in contact, as Thomas said, with a male for, I don't know how many years it was now, but
I think they said 9 for this.
9 to 10 or something. So that inspiration is represented by the wands to me. And if we see the 5 of Wands, which is what I think it was.
Yes.
The actual idea that a goal can be reached without a male sort of satisfies another goal inside, where they don't have to be at war with themselves for feeling like they have to hook up with a man just to please mommy and daddy and have a baby. And the boas probably feel that way too, and then with the 6 of Swords, this idea that they can get away from that mentality and find calmer waters alone without a man is another lesson that, of course, today's liberated, or any liberated, not just woman, but entity would want. So there's a really heartwarming story there in those two cards about this in such a little trifle of a vignette or whatever you want to call it. Um, it's really, really, really inspirational.
So when we have our 5 of Wands upright, our 6 of Swords reversed. Having difficulty handing today. So there's conflict between in any relationship, and some people just decide, I don't want to deal with that conflict. And imagine their surprise when they tried it, they gave it up 9 years ago, and then ta-da, another brood comes along. It's like a story I read in some biblical book. It's inconceivable to most people because unless you see the shows on TLC, my magic pregnancy or my unknown pregnancy or whatever, they go into the emergency room and they're not showing, and they have a baby, and the baby's in critical condition because he's 4.5 pounds or something. It's just going it alone sometimes is not the way to do it. And so the 6 of Swords usually is moving on to calmer waters, but if you come home with the story, Mom, Dad, guess what? I'm pregnant. And no, I wasn't near anyone. There are going to be some feathers flying. But then you go to the doctor or the hospital and get it checked out, and then the doctor tells your parents that in very rare cases it can happen. But I know a lot of people would just be saying that not in modern day, that would be BS. So we have reversed 5 of Wands and upright 6 of Swords. Wow, so, that's a big leg. That's a big leg.
So in this situation, I think it's probably more of an issue of fertility. In other words, that fire, that spark that comes from below that rises above isn't there. But even with that 5 of Wands reversed, all this sperm and all of these things that you would need to procreate normally, you don't need. There's still that primal desire that animals have too, to, kind of procreate the way they are used to. And there's something that would make them more violent, I think. And they can't get away from that instinctual need they have. And that's why the 6 of Swords is reversed. Is it reversed now?
It's upright. It's upright.
It's upright. Okay. So in this case, then they kind of have this sort of same biological clock mentality where the primal need is eluding them. It's going away from them because they associate life cycles at one point with what sex can do for them, but they don't need sex to have children anymore. So there's sort of that diminishing of the return on the investment, if you know what I mean. And that's why even though they're going away from something, it's not because they want to, it's because they're being led that way because they've had to adapt, just like someone has to adapt when they immigrate. It's the immigration card in politics. So, there's some sadness there, but there's also some great triumph, singular triumph for the Boas. So that's how I read that.
And then with both cards upside down, again, since this was a snake in captivity, it really didn't have choices. It was just the only conflict were when's meal time, and do I get a chance to get out of my cage and roam around and exercise, without 15 men coming to wrestle me and put me back in the cage. And then with the Six of Swords reversed, it did cause a local stir. It not only it surprised the keepers, because and who knows? I mean, there are all sorts of people in the world. One of my bad bosses that I dream about still to this day. I worked in a hotel industry for 6 years, and I had to fire myself 3 times because they sold management. The management companies changed every 2 years, like clockwork. So when the controller of number 2 management company came in, they fired my controller that I'd originally been hired on with. He left. She moved from Colorado to be here because she wanted this job so badly. And the first piece of decoration that she hung up in the office was a sign that says, "Women need a man like fish need a bicycle." And you cannot imagine a reverse hostile work environment situation, her towards me. And it's like, didn't matter that I was gay. I was a man. So I was enemy number 1, or belonged to the common enemy number 1. And this woman would nag, berate, belittle. I mean, I've had some tongue lashings in my days, but not 8 hours a day of tongue lashings.
Oh my God.
And our chief engineer came in one day during the middle of one of these tirades that she was giving me, and he went right to the general manager and told him what was going wrong. And the general manager come to me and said, "Does this go on?" I said, "It goes on every day, but don't bring her in or do anything about it, because if you do, it's going to amp up tenfold, and I am going to be miserable and sick and quit and file a suit that it is a toxic work environment." So I just, he confronted her. She came back. She was, see you next Tuesday for the rest of the time that she was there. Yeah. I try to be nice, but some some people are so heavenly they're of no earthly value, and some people can fertilize a whole 20-acre field. That's how crappy she was. So if anybody would like us to answer your tarot questions on that, Tom, bitter, party of one, bitter. Ooh, Hershey's gonna work on a scavenger hunt list. Care Bear and Nancy. Oh, I didn't know that Nancy had. Nancy, I think you'll have fun. I know that you have probably more oracles than you do tarot, but with 256 total decks, you'll be set. Just got to remember which deck and how fast you can access. It doesn't sound like anything I want to do. I would create such a mess that everything would be out and scattered about, and I wouldn't be able to pick it back up without a month of Tuesdays. That's 4 or 5 Tuesdays, putting cards back in order. So does anybody want something read? Jeff, do you need anything read for you? Do you have any poignant questions that just are desiring to be answered? And did J.D. Vance really drop out of being Trump's running mate?
No, but there are rumors he's going to fire him and get someone new.
We're playing wannabe presidential apprentice.
He's having buyer's remorse. There was a Fox News interview, if you go online, that shows when he started to have buyer's remorse. They both were being interviewed, and they say that it was in that interview that it started.
Does the 16 decks, does that include Lenormand and Kipper?
All told, it's 24 right now. It's 16 tarot, 2 Kipper, and 6 Lenormand. And I don't have any oracle except, so actually it'd be 25 or 27. Kristen Louise's oracle, which I really like, but I don't use it enough.
Well, I actually enjoy oracle because most of them, have the wording on them, so you really don't need a guide, and most oracle decks don't even come with guides. Or some have wording on the back. So they're real easy to use. So I've got this Pippish. This is the Fox Tarot. So it's Pippish, so it acts like a Marseille.
What is that emblem? I've seen that emblem on certain cards that I have, but they're not Marseille.
So these those were the coins. But let's see if I can find it again. Okay, so these are real unique. Those are the coins, your pentacles. But it's got your that's your earth sign. If I turned it the correct orientation, it's got the planetary association Jupiter. And then in this corner, it's got the astrological symbol like you see on the charts. Your symbol for Earth, the little triangle, and then your diamonds, which your coins get turned into in a regular deck, and then the 5, the V down there. So it's got all these associations on it. So if you want your astrological associations, this
I do want to deck with that. Yeah,
it's got your planets right on it.
I've got to get that.
And so, like the Wheel of Fortune, it says it's Jupiter, but then control your emotions, Tom. So if I don't know if you can see, but each of it's got the 12 astrological signs and the 4 elements, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and it's got the Oberus, the snake eating its tail, as the Wheel of Fortune. And then most of the major arcana cards have this. In the center of this is an origami crane. So it's got an animal represented with the Japanese folded paper as well. All black and white, no color, gilded gold edges, and it's called the Fox Tarot, the Expanded Pips Edition. So I'm unfamiliar with other editions, if there are any, but it is an indie deck.
Oh, okay, because the one I'm seeing right now is in color, and it's not that one. I like that one better.
I have
that one.
I have very few independent decks, and the ones that I have been generously gifted to me. Yeah, the lines in this deck do make it a little hypnotic. Sort of like if you, I suppose when I put it up to the screen, it pixelates and it does tessellate back and forth. I don't know if that's a word or not.
Who's the Meta Muse Tarot by Miss Moonlight? Is that by Chris Ann? Because I only see the Muse Tarot. Maybe I should get off Amazon. It's on Etsy, but not expensive.
And Miss Moonlight, yeah, the Myers-Briggs is how I want to go about once I get to the court cards. We're ready to do the 7 of Pentacles, and then after that we've got Swords and Cups, the Ace or Tens, and then we'll be ready to wind it up with the 16 court cards with the Myers-Briggs personality indices.
I do like it. Miss Moonlight, I like that deck by the looks of it.
I don't know that Hershey's keeping it a surprise. It's just some days we have difficulties designing thumbnails and stuff like that. She's much better at thumbnails than I am. I'm trying to get this CapCut thing figured out. I've been doing some tarot quizzes. I've been doing card of the days with it. Since the tarot quizzes are a little short, I've been doing a lot of editing to keep the interest. Sound effects, and I'm doing it as I learn it, and there's a lot of tweaking that has to be involved, because if you do a sound effect, when you're showing a card and you've got a voiceover, you got to adjust the volume of the sound effect down so it doesn't totally crush your voiceover. Do you put tags, Thomas? I do put tags on mine. I'm putting 3 on the shorts. I'm putting shorts, and tarot quiz as the main tags. But then after the description, when you're doing all the YouTubey things, then I'll put like tarot quiz, the test your tarot knowledge, the card name, upright or reversed. I spell out the number or put the number, so there's at least 2 tags with the card name in the alternate tags. I guess that's the meta tag area. But they're saying YouTube doesn't want more than 3 tags in the shorts in the name of the file. Learn tarot tag. Okay, I will put learn tarot in there. I'm like how I do a couple how-tos, how to read tarot, how to read the 5 of Pentacles or whatever card I'm doing. I hear that you can go up to 500 characters in your tags, but from several of the ones, they say don't go more than 450 characters with all your tags. I wouldn't think that shorts would be all that searchable. I find that them just serving them up on the short shelves, I'm getting viral for me. 60 views, that's viral for me. I've got one that apparently they were promoting, the High Priestess. I got like 500 and some views. It was out for 5 days. And then it got promoted, and it just like went through the roof one day, and then they decide not to promote it anymore. But I think that what they're doing with that is like trying to figure out who swipes on it, and then the next time you put out something similar, they put it in the short shelves for those people to swipe on. And if I keep the look of them similar, people will know, oh yeah, I like that the last time I watched it, or they'll swipe off. People are amazing, and I have eclectic habits. One day I'm into this, one day I'm into that. I can go months and not do something, but then revisit it after a while. Well, Moira, get out a deck and just play. Go through the news headlines of the day and make up hypothetical questions, or read on the news story like Jeff and I are doing here. There's I'm picking animal stories mainly because there's no blame or fault for animals. Animals do whatever comes to nature. There's no good animals. There's no bad animals. They're just instinctual and creatures of their progeny. We all have that DNA in us that tells us what to do, how to survive. I can see that, Care Bear. Yeah, and it's I know I'm not the most charismatic of people, but I I did amuse Jeff by the Queen the other day.
You did. That was a good video. That was fun.
I wrote that in the first person, so had to use a voice.
I love that video. Like from now on.
You gotta do the voice. Do the voice. Do the voice.
Then I slow it down to 0.25 speed.
So what's it sound like when you do that?
It's really good.
Do I finally have a deep voice if I do that? Let's see if I can show something. Let's see what that one was. Okay, I'll show a quiz. What can the Five of Cups advise you to focus on? A. Opportunities and hope. B. Material wealth. C. Physical health. D. Social connections. A. Opportunities and hope. Did you get this correct? Boy, there's such a lag. I just heard the bell ring out there in Hershey. Come on. There we go. So I've been doing that. So that little 25-second ordeal, I think the first one that I did took me about 3 hours to edit. It's down to about 20 minutes now. Seems like a lot for half a minute, but it's fun. And I think Hershey had one of the videos that she did with PD really blew up. I mean, it was a good video. Hershey and PD had some great hits, and oh yeah, well, Tom's always judging Care Bear. Usually himself. And then she usually has one or two judges in the audience helping. Okay, I'll see how that goes. So did I miss any me's? Nobody wants a reading? Yeah, Mosaic Insight, she's usually one of the judges, or Miss Tarot D, or Early Ritual, Tom. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the timekeeper. I'm the timekeeper and the hint giver. Hershey's very taken with the Thoth tarot. I'm like, I've got 20 of the 36 cards sort of committed to memory. I need to get out the cards and learn the last 16. I think Hershey's a lot further along. She might already have all of them. And I think Hershey and Jane are going to do a charm casting, or not casting, but a charm reading session, maybe later this week if they can get it worked out. I like that Lenormand doesn't have reversals. And it is Jeff, is Lenormand strictly pairs? I know there's probably some readings that you read triplets, but most of them.
You can assign in the pairs, like the main female and the main male. You can assign who you're reading about as the main male or the main female, but there is the component of two women or two men, and the two men can be a gay couple in the Lenormand. But
yeah, I have one. I have a deck that you can substitute two females or two males.
Like I just read on, is JD Vance gonna get bounced with the Lenormand? And I got there's something damning about him that Trump doesn't even know yet. That's even too hypocritical. So I would say yes, like in the next 10 days. But like this one, on the surface of it, I prefer this one to the old style Lenormand, which is this one. This one, like, I have an easier time reading with it, but I prefer this one. I just wish I could read better with it. Like, I like the feel of these cards a lot better. These cards, like, are better to understand Lenormand, I think. Like the lady, all of that. I think I do pretty well with them. It was, I think, yeah, this is my favorite deck of Lenormand. Just for like learning it.
Hershey, if you look on my shelf, I have the Fifth Tarot. Aunt Titi sent that to me when she was sending me gift baskets and stuff.
And then I got to get that deck too, the Fifth Tarot.
And it does have substitutions for male and female couples for the lovers.
Swampy, what's Wildwood?
Oh, maybe I'm not reading. Maybe I have a different deck that I'm thinking about, Nancy, because mine's just a regular tarot. 4 suits. Fifth Spirit. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Thank you, Hershey. See, brain smatter. So, Jeff, what is coming up for you in the near future?
I'll be on Gerald's channel on Sunday, August 4th for we're going to be reading with Deb Sakow's deck for the Clarity Tarot. So you'll have to see that. And it's with Val and it's with someone else. I can't remember who the other one is. And then in between, I don't know yet. Whenever my guides tell me to come on is when I come on. Because everybody's got guides and everybody has to listen to their guides when they speak. So
and then with Gerald, I think I've got one like on a Monday, August 15th, maybe 1-ish in the afternoon for the Vanessa Tarot. We did a deck casual with the Vanessa Tarot, showing our favorite cards and stuff like that. And now we're going to read with it on his program. And Gerald is everywhere that a tarot reader wants to be. Just like Visa card or MasterCard, it's everywhere you want to be.
You want to be. Scott Scorpio Sun is too. I think.
Yeah, and I feel bad when I schedule something new and step on somebody that. But there's some time periods that it doesn't matter what day you pick, that that same person is always on there. There's several that read every day at the same time in the evening, and so it's just you're gonna step on toes no matter what. So I guess you go on, and better to beg forgiveness later.
Oh yeah.
So everyone, thank you for being here with us. And Jeff, thanks for again reading with me. I'm sorry that I had technical troubles early on. I had to restart my computer. With CapCut, they released an update today, and it screwed things up. I had to get with technical support, and we had to undo their update. Because it's really screwed up things. So don't be the first one to do an update, but they force you to do an update.
Don't do it. No.
Yeah. No, don't do it for CapCut yet. Let them work out the bugs for this update. So thank you for being with us. You could have been anywhere, but I'm glad that you decided to come be with Jeff and myself and do these tarot exercises of twisting the cards all 4 directions with the 2 cards and getting 4 different readings. Remember, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and go out and have a great evening. Make it a great. Goodbye.